today.
Hello, everybody. This is Josh Price, and you are listening to the Mark Price for Three podcast. Each episode, my dad will be talking NBA basketball, sharing some coaching and instruction, and of course, talking about his faith. Without further delay, here's my dad, Mark Price.
My life's been waiting on me.
All right, everybody. Welcome to a very special edition of the Mark Price for Three podcast. It's going to be a short one today, but we are going to talk Final Four. Mark, I know you're a little under the weather. How you doing?
Well, I'm had a rough night. I'm not going to lie. Cold hit me last night, a little bit of coughing. So if my voice is a little raspy this morning, everyone will know why. But yeah, we had a very special episode, our last episode with Jason Kolb, and didn't get a chance to really touch on the Final Four. So we thought, hey, let's just do a special edition. We'll be short and sweet, but I know people are just dying to hear our preview of the Final Four. So let's get to it.
I'm sure I think I'm in, like I said, last in our little bracket pool that we have, and you're still sitting in third. And so what's it? I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. Not an intramural is in number one in the pool. Jeff Matthews is number two, and then you're sitting there at three. And the funny thing is, you've got, who do you have winning it? Florida?
I have Florida winning it.
You have Florida. Jeff, I believe, has Houston. And whoever not an intramural has Duke. So,
so whoever wins the whole thing's probably going to win this thing. So
that's right.
Anyway, We'll see.
Yeah,
but
we will.
We have our Final Four: Houston versus Duke, and then we have Auburn and Florida. So a couple of real interesting matchups. But I thought we just kind of go through each team a little bit, kind of their strengths, their weaknesses, and kind of at the end, kind of figure out who we think might have a chance to win this thing. Got 4 number one seeds. It's only been done once before, 2008, I believe it was. It was the last time all 4 number one seeds made it. So according to all the experts, these are the 4 best teams. That's right. So it should be exciting weekend. 2 really good games on Saturday, and then the championship on Monday. But let's start with Houston.
Okay, I know that's a team you've watched maybe more than I have. So yeah.
Yeah, they were a hard one for me not to pick, honestly. We were going through this thing just because, defense wins championships, right? That's what everybody says at every sport. And they're by far the best defensive team in the Final Four. I mean, they're aggressive. I mean, they don't take any plays off. I mean, Kelvin Sampson is known to be very, some people might say old school, hard nosed, really holds his guys accountable, but they love playing for him. And of all the teams, they have that unique kind of culture coming into this tournament that they live and die by their defense. But, in doing some research, they're the best 3-point shooting team in the Final Four, believe it or not.
Really?
At 41%. So that one surprised me a little bit. So they do have some offense to go with the defense. And man, when I saw the first half of that Tennessee game, I mean, they locked a really, really good team down. Tennessee was a really good team. And I mean, they didn't even have 20 points at halftime, I don't think, of that game. So Houston only has 4 losses this season. 3 of those are in overtime. So they legit, could be sitting here with only 1 loss season going in. So from a confidence standpoint, going in, kind of being everybody's looking at all these other teams. Houston's lurking right there, in my opinion.
And they've been close a few times. I think didn't they have an injury that really cost them the one year they were? I think they were the favorite the one year, and they had an injury. I think right. Somebody got hurt
a couple of years ago, I believe it was. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, and so they've been there, and so. They're not the one that everybody, like I said, I haven't seen them play all year, but I did hear somebody say too, I think they're in the top 10 in offense and defense, to your point. I think they're 1 or 2, but they're going up against a team that is also in the top 5 in both those categories. But yeah, that's my only question would be the offense, because I haven't watched them a lot, but surprisingly, I did not know that stat about the 3-point shooting. That's incredible.
Yeah, and the other thing that they do really, really well is they're a great offensive rebounding team. So the shots they do miss, they're getting a bunch of those back and getting extra shots. So yeah, it'll be interesting because they play Duke, and we'll kind of move over to Duke right now. But before we do, the top players for those that, just to give a little more info, the top players for Houston are L.J. Cryer.
Right.
Juwan Roberts is a big guy for them. Emmanuel Sharp, who's a sharpshooter, and Milos Uzan are their top kind of four guys. And like I said, so four guys that maybe a lot of people don't know a lot about, that are really, really good players. So
Sorry, what's their length on the inside?
yeah, they have a couple. They Juwan Roberts is big 6'10",
Okay.
6'10" guy, and then they have another guy that comes off the bench. It gives them some size. So they kind of play the 4 out, 1 in type. Play with one big guy mostly.
Yeah, that'll be important against Duke.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So speaking of Duke, we'll move over to their opponent, the Duke Blue Devils, who, probably in everybody's mind is thinking prohibitive maybe favorites going into this thing right now. I think Auburn might be the overall number 1 seed, but Duke really hasn't had a close game yet. I mean, they've dominated people. And the thing that's interesting about Duke, when I was really looking into things, because there's so much talk about NIL, transfer portal, teams getting older. I think Auburn maybe average age is like 23, 24 years old, but the top 3 players, 3 of the top 4 players for Duke are freshmen, So to me, that really jumped out that, hey, they're the contrarians here on this. Got to be older to win. Now your freshmen got to be Cooper Flags and Con Knipp.
Yeah.
Helps.
Yeah.
But even still, to me, that would be the one thing, matching up against some of these. I mean, they're playing against teams that are guys that are 3, 4, sometimes maybe 5 years older than them. And does that play a factor, here in the Final Four? So far, it hasn't. The X factor, you mentioned their size and their length. They're so long, and their depth. That's what makes them so good. The guy that's kind of being overlooked a little bit is their big guy. Flamen, is it Malak or Maluk?
Malak, is it?
I'm not exactly how you spell it, but 7'2". He had double figures, I think it was, against Alabama in the last game. He's been a beast. I mean, defensively, and then in that pick and roll, they just throw it up there, and they just throw it up, and he goes and gets it. So he's been a problem, and he's been an X factor, I think, for Duke. Obviously, Cooper Flag, Con Knipp, Tyrese Proctor, their point guard, and the big fella inside are kind of their top 4 guys, and they rotate some other guys in that are also really good players. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I think there's one team that could really maybe get into Duke and maybe even get them frustrated playing a different type game, it would be Houston, I think, of the groups that are left. And so that's an intriguing game for me.
It is. I don't see a weakness. I think I've told you that, and that hurts me so bad to say that because it's, because it's Duke, right? But man, they're just so good. And when somebody's off, I mean, they're like the Cavs kind of. They're, like you said, they're deep. Just bringing a guy. That one guy I can't remember a lot of their names, but the one guy comes in, he hardly ever plays, and when he comes in, all he does is shoot threes, and they all go in. Talking about
Isaiah Evans, I think.
He's unbelievable. I mean, he doesn't play that much, and he's built kind of like Brandon Ingram. He's got the long arms, He's got that same kind of build, not as tall, but and he can light it up. I know everybody, Cooper Flag gets all the shine. Knipp is really good. And he reminds me a lot of you, Mark. He really does. He's just kind of quiet. He does his thing and he doesn't need the spotlight, but when it's necessary, he's great on a drive, mid-range. And even when he gets in trouble, like you said, he just throws it up and that guy goes and gets it. I mean, he'll get stuck in he's like, oh, they got him locked down in the lane and he just tosses the ball up in the air and that big man just knows how to go get it. And I think I agree with you. That guy's gotten better and better and better. It reminds me of the year they won it when they had, was it Zubek? Was that his name? A big man that was kind of, he just wasn't really that great all year. But every tournament game, he seemed to get better and better. Like 6 straight games, he went on this run, and they got a championship out of it. And that's how I feel watching that. I know that kid's been good, but I feel like he's just growing every game that they play and taking a bigger role. That would be my concern. But as you said, nobody's been able to get close to him. Yeah. So can the physicality of Houston just bug them enough? Will it be enough?
The other thing is, can Houston get a lead on them? Yeah. I think Duke's come out just about every game and kind of jumped on people, and it's been a little bit kind of cruise control. I mean, it was close for about a half, I guess, against Alabama, And then Duke kind of pulled away in the second half. No, it's never been like, oh, Duke's been down 6-8 points or whatever, and against a team that can grind a little bit. But I think Houston's got to try to get them off balance is the only chance they got. Nobody's been able to do it. Like you said, there hadn't been a weakness. Nobody's been able to do it so far. And, like you said, Cooper Flagg's getting all the roses from everybody, but he deserves it.
Sure. Right.
The kid's been, the expectations for that kid was, off the charts.
Mm-hmm.
You've seen guys with expectations kind of fold under that pressure over the years. He's a freshman guy, just barely turned 18 years old.
Right. Just like a few months ago.
And yet he just goes out. He doesn't get in a hurry. He plays his game. He's not hunting shots like every time down the floor. You don't see him force up bad shots. He plays with his teammates. And then at the end of the game, he's got like 20, 10 rebounds, 8 assists. He's a college version of Jokic, I guess, in a way. I think he literally leads their team in every offensive category.
Wow.
That's just amazing.
It is.
Shooting, rebounding, assists, block shots, everything. Rebounding. It's just crazy how good a year he's had. And that's the other thing with this Final Four, too, that the two top players in college are in the Final Four, Johnny Broome and Cooper Flagg. So that doesn't always happen either. So that's intriguing as well.
I think they said it really well the other night. It might have been Barkley. I don't remember who it was, but it was the halftime of one of their games. They said that Cooper Flagg doesn't have to be special. He just needs to be good, because they have so many other weapons where, some Duke teams in the past, you need Zion to be amazing. And,
right.
And what proves that out is, he was out for a few games and they did just fine. They did just fine in the ACC tournament. He's really good. And I thought that was a really great analogy insight was he doesn't have to do, and if he has to, he can. That's the thing. He's got it in his bag, but he doesn't have to be. They have enough weapons that he can just pick his spots. And, but he does play really hard too. So it's not like he's out there not doing much. He's contributing, and they're really good. They're really good.
Yeah, they are. Well, let's switch it to the other side of the bracket right now. Another intriguing matchup because you have two teams from the same conference, vaunted SEC that everybody's talked about all year, the best conference in basketball. You got the two top teams meeting up and going at it. Now, they did play only once during the regular season, but Florida beat Auburn at Auburn, which is interesting. So you got two teams that are familiar with each other. The style of play is similar between the two. The difference to me could come down to guard play, and Florida's got really good guards. Walter Clayton Jr., Elijah Martin, who was on that FAU team that went to the championship game a few years ago. Not the championship game, but got to the Final Four. Will Richard is another transfer guy that they brought in. Really strong three-headed guard group for Florida. It's been their strength all year, but then they've been getting the last few games, some really good play from their bigs. Alex Condon and Thomas Huff or Haw, I don't know exactly how you explain it. Haw really was a difference maker in that Texas Tech game. He only averages about 9 points a game. He had 20.
Yeah, he was on fire.
And hit like 3 unbelievable three-point shots to kind of change the momentum of that last game. So Florida's in my bracket, I picked Florida to win it. So I'm out there on a ledge right now. And they've had a couple games they easily could have lost already. So they're still in there. But keys for Florida, they're big offensive rebounding team as well, which leads to a lot of their kick out 3-point shots. So that's something that Auburn would, they got to rebound the basketball if they want to beat Florida. The one Achilles heel, probably the worst team of these 4 in the Final Four, is turnovers. Florida has a tendency to give the ball up more than the other teams do. So that could hurt them. And like I said, they beat Auburn before, and beat Auburn at Auburn. So there's going to be a confidence level there from the Florida team. What have you seen watching these guys?
Everything you said, the guard play is really the engine for them. And when the guards are good, they're very, very difficult to beat. But you know how that is in a tournament. I always, when I look at the tournament, I always say teams that live and die by the 3 usually die in the tournament at some point because the legs go, especially if it's, you got, so let's say Florida won on Monday, I'd be very concerned. Just like Alabama, when they hit 1,000,000 threes before they played Duke, they couldn't hit anything. Now, some of that had to do with Duke's defense, but I mean, as a 3-point shooter, you probably know that. And I think that's what I always see in the tournament. So that would be my concern for their guards is can they do it 2 times? They got to do it 2 more games. And so that second game, and I'm not putting them in the championship yet. I'm just saying like that would be my concern for them. But yeah, they're very good, very athletic. And again, like we said, they're experienced. So they could win it. They could absolutely win it. But they're the one team that, again, outside of Duke, all 3 of the other teams have had close games. They've had they had to, eke a few out here in this tournament. Yeah. And so that, that could be a warning sign too. But yeah, they're done it. So they found a way to win.
Yep, for sure. For sure. Well, Auburn, obviously the big question was the last game. He actually left the game with an injury. I don't know if it was his elbow or his leg or both. X-rays were negative. He eventually came back and actually finished playing the last 5 minutes or so of that game, obviously favoring some of those things while he was out on the court. So he hasn't practiced. I guess the things that I've read is actually today, supposedly, he's supposed to practice for the first time before the Final Four. So I think that's just huge for Auburn. I mean, look, their other players are good, and they were able to finish off that game the other day. But if you don't have Johnny Broome at 100%, I'm not sure Auburn can beat Florida. He's just such a dominant player. I mean, that Michigan State game, he opened the game scoring like the first 8 points for Auburn, just throwing it in the post. And the guy's incredible footwork. He's the leader by far on that team. So that's a big X factor right now. Obviously, they got good guards as well. Like I said, they're probably the oldest team left. Every starter's a senior, a grad, 24, probably 23, 24, 25 years old. Tahad Pettiford, their point guard, really good player, lefty. Miles Kelly, who I'm very familiar with, played at Georgia Tech before he transferred to Auburn. 6'6", 6'7" shooter for them. Denver Jones is another transfer player for them. And Chad Baker Mazura, or however you pronounce his name. He's a little bit of an X factor too. He makes a boneheaded play, it seems like, every now and then for these guys. And in a tight game going, does that pop out, But obviously Auburn's the number 1 overall seed. They've proven that. They played the toughest schedule of any team in basketball this year, and they've gotten through it. So you can't count Auburn out for sure. Like I said, to me, the huge big X factor is Broome. Is he healthy? Is he able to be the Broome that we see on a daily basis, or is he half of that? And I think that's going to be huge. Couple little things. Auburn turns the ball over the least amount of any team in the Final Four. They protect it. They get shots. Usually the teams that get the most possessions win, right? When you get down to analytics. But so they're a little bit streaky shooting team. There's nights where they're really good, but obviously when you have an inside presence you can go to when that's happening, that's kind of their MO. But if Kelly, Pettiford, Jones, those guys, if they're making shots, they're going to be tough to beat.
Yeah. It's funny. I saw a clip where Bruce Pearl was saying the difference with the team this year is God. Did you see that clip?
I didn't.
It was really cool. He was talking about the faith of this team. And apparently their little celebration when they hit a 3 where they have the little, like they're calling somebody on the phone. And I've seen Broome wearing a shirt that says "Call God." I think Donovan Mitchell wears one too. But anyway, and then I saw another clip where they were talking about they instituted a Bible study at their team breakfast. And I'm like, okay, well, that's pretty cool. We'll see how it plays out. But yeah, that's really cool to see. It has nothing to do with, or maybe it has everything to do with the Final Four. I don't know, but I thought that was really cool. But it's so funny you mentioned it because my wild card is Baker Mazzaro. I think that's how you say his name. Yeah. Because as I've watched their games, he does something in every game, and you just wonder if, and I hope not, but sometimes he gets a little weird, a little out of control. He gets some technicals or starts a fight. You can't afford that at this level, at this time. You can't. That could make or break the game. And so,
no doubt.
And I'm not foreshadowing or predicting it. I'm just saying that is something. It's funny you mentioned it too, because it always sticks out to me. Broome is huge. And to me, they've been the most vulnerable in the tournament. And they didn't roll into the tournament on a winning streak. They actually lost like their last 3, I think. And so I think Broome's been banged up for a while, but now it's even worse. So I think he's kind of limping his way to the finish line here. So To me, they could be the most vulnerable.
Okay, man. We've gone through all 4 teams. Let's go the first game. Drum roll, please. Who wins the Houston-Duke game?
Much as I hate to say it, I'm going to say Duke.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I didn't even have Duke in the Final Four. I had Alabama beating them. And like I said, that wasn't a great pick because it was just all the years playing against Duke and just that whole deal. I just couldn't.
Gross.
I just couldn't pick them. I'm sorry,
No.
but I'm not gonna lie. They're good, and they easily could win this whole thing.
Absolutely.
So I'm gonna go with Duke. I love Kelvin Sampson. I love Houston. I love how they get after you. I just think Duke might be too good. So I'm gonna go with Duke in that game. Florida Auburn.
It's a tough one. I actually have Auburn in my bracket, but my bracket hasn't been good since day one. So I'm actually going to go Florida in this one.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that it's almost like a flip the coin with them when they're both healthy. I think they're almost mirror images of each other in a lot of ways, the way they play. But I think Florida's healthier right now. And to me, that gives them the edge. So I'm going to stick with Florida. I picked them in the bracket. So it takes us to Florida Duke in the championship game. I'm going to stick with Florida because I picked them in the bracket. I'm not saying I'm feeling real good about that pick.
That was a long pause.
That was a long time ago when we did our brackets. And Duke has been the best team, period, in the tournament so far. Maybe they have that one-off game, and you never know.
I mean, what is it, 15, 16 in a row they've won now?
Yeah.
It's a long winning streak, and they all come to an end at some point. But that being said, I'm going to go Duke. I hate it. I really do. And we've talked about before, the other thing is I really like Jon Scheyer. And that's what makes it's harder to hate Duke now because I really like Jon Scheyer. It was easy before because I just could not stand Coach K. But I really like Jon, and he's his team, his staff, they've really found a way to make, as you said earlier, young, plus the older experienced players. Duke has never been a real strong defensive team. They've always just been this offensive powerhouse. He's gotten them to buy into everything, and I just don't see them not winning. Yeah,
I mean, you make a good argument, and they've proven it. Nobody's gotten within double figures of them so far. So we'll see. I think that Houston game will be interesting, but I think it's Duke and Florida getting there, and we'll see. But anyway, hopefully that helps give everybody a little bit of background, a little preview here coming up before the games start on Saturday. And it's down to 3 of us, it looks like. Maybe somebody sneaks in there at the end. I don't know. But 3 different winners or picks. Whoever comes out of this thing with the championship is probably going to win the pool.
It'll be very interesting if you win and you have to interview yourself.
I'm trying to figure out what questions I would actually ask myself. That could be interesting.
Dear self.
Yes.
Dear younger self. Yeah, that'd be a good one right there. Okay. Well, we'll work that out offline. And that means everything's gone very well. If we have that problem for you, that means everything went very well for you in the bracket challenge. So that will be a lot of fun. And whoever does win it, we will have them on as a guest.
That'll be fun. That'll be fun. So, we appreciate you guys pulling and listening into this special edition, Final Four edition. For those of you who are listening to this and missed our episode with Dr. Jason Kolb, make sure you take a listen to that episode. Amazing. Jason and his wife, Amy, and their overcoming through God's grace of just tragedy, a tragic ski accident, and you don't want to miss that episode.
Agreed. And we normally have a faith segment if you're a first-time listener in each one of that's the 0.3 in each one of the Mark Price 4-3 podcasts. But today we just wanted to do this. But I would encourage you to go listen to that maybe as the faith segment if you haven't heard it already. As Mark said, it's a very powerful and moving story, and certainly worth the listen.
All right. Well, all you fans out there that got teams in the Final Four, good luck to you. Hope you have a great weekend.
That's right. We'll be back with episode 127 very soon. For Mark, I'm Aaron. This has been the Mark Price for 3 podcast.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Mark Price for 3 podcast. Remember to subscribe, like, review, and share. I'm Josh Price, and we will talk to you again on the next episode.
You don't have to go very far looking for bad news because somehow it just finds you. So finding peace in the chaos can be really difficult, but it doesn't have to be because the River mobile app exists. The River is a Christian music radio station dedicated to playing music to help you get through life's toughest moments or life's happiest moments and everywhere in between, and all from artists who love Jesus and are real people just like you. Listening is easy. You can download it wherever you get apps from. Just search 1049 The River or listen online at riverradio.com.